Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Midtable Up Podcast. If you missed part 1, it's currently available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and YouTube. You can find it through our Instagram, Twitter and Facebook below. We hope you enjoy part 2 of the podcast. Alright then, so Simon, then your final Europa League spot, who are you going with at number 5?
I mean, it's criminal he's in a Europa League position, but I've gone with Mo Salah.
Okay.
My number 5. It's possibly a little bit low for Mo, but his numbers at the start of the season, I think he's got 13 goals already. I mean, scored against Tottenham again yesterday. You run out of things to say about Mo Salah. He just does it every time. Like, you just go out, Liverpool have scored a goal. It's similar to what you said with Haaland. You get goal notifications, see Liverpool have scored, it's probably Mo Salah. Yeah, it is. It usually is. And as good as that whole team is, you look through the whole bin of it, Mo Salah would be a massive blow. And him or Mane would be the two big blows, I think, to that team.
I'm going to be honest, he didn't make my list, but he was definitely in the conversation. And I think primary reason he didn't make my list is I don't remember him being that great last season. It was more Mane. I think he had a lot of chances last season and kind of just couldn't really get the goals sticking. But these are Mo Salah numbers, so it's kind of like he's under.
But he's got like 13 goals this season.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
This season or last?
This season.
Oh yeah.
He must have still got like 21 last year though.
I was going to say as well, to be fair to Salah, there's only one other Liverpool player in my list, and we're going to get to him relatively soon. But the reason why I didn't go with Salah is because, to be honest with you, I really didn't want to make my list just chock full of Liverpool players, because there was a little part of me where I was thinking, oh, you could argue him, and I was like, I was thinking to myself, right, you've named 7 Liverpool players here, you can't have 7 in this list, you've got to scale it back somewhat. And I will say that I do kind of agree with you, Matt, in the sense that I think last season, I do think Mane was Liverpool's best player. At least I do.
But again, that's kind of what I was saying about the issues of doing this thing of a calendar year, because I don't think Mane's necessarily had the impact this season that he had last season.
I would agree on that, though. I would agree on that sense. I think Salah has started this season better, but obviously it's a little bit hard because obviously you get the reward in May, don't you? I'm not saying that then obviously the start of the...
But he's still got 21 goals last season as they won the league. Like, let's not pretend Salah had a bad year.
Yeah, no, of course he didn't. He had a fantastic year, which, to be fair, he's had a fantastic year every year since he's moved to Liverpool. The rate of goals that he's got at the minute. If he stays at Liverpool for the rest of his career, I really would be kind of interested to see where he is on those all-time Premier League goal-scoring charts.
Well, yeah, I mean, did you see the stat? He's just gone past Cristiano Ronaldo in terms of Premier League goals. He's done it like 30 or 40 less games than him.
That's outrageous when you think about it, isn't it?
That's kind of what I'm saying. Like, and I think, again, this is what I mean. This it must be 25, 26, something like that.
Yeah,
coming
he's
towards
still,
the peak.
Yeah.
But again, I'm kind of thinking of, this is why the list maybe changes week to week, because I saw that, I think, probably last week, so maybe that's why Salah was kind of in my mind of making this list, because I was kind of thinking, that's incredible. You see a stat like that, Christ, this guy is doing things that are previously unheard of in Premier League standards. So, and I think he deserves certainly a mention, potentially too high, but I think he certainly deserves to be in and around the conversation.
As I said, to be fair, you could easily take the majority, if not all, of that Liverpool team and make at least the regular starters and make a case for all of them with this list. And as I said, I did really have to refrain from doing that. I didn't want to, make the list completely Liverpool, especially when, as I said, you sit there and you think about Bayern Munich have won a treble this year, So yeah, I was like, I've got to spread this out. I've got to even it out. I can't just include, predominantly Liverpool players. But I was like, I have to put at least 2 on here. So that was what I did with mine. So moving into my number 5, it is. At the moment, well, I say at the moment, not so much this season, but at least over the last couple of years, my number 5 is a player that has been one of Liverpool's fiercest rivals in terms of the club he plays for. I have gone with Kevin De Bruyne as my number 5.
He's my number 3.
Great stuff. We can cover him right now. I'm gonna put it in simple terms. Out and out midfielders. He's the best in the world right now.
I'd agree with that.
He's been the best in the world this year in midfield across any league.
I think he's been that for kind of 2 or 3 years now, I would argue. He's had that crown for quite some time at this point.
I agree, but I don't think that maybe everyone maybe thought that, whereas I've kind of felt that, but I feel like now, I feel like if you're not saying Kevin De Bruyne is... If you're saying Kevin De Bruyne isn't the best player best midfielder in the world right now, I feel like you're going to get argued down at this point. I just...
Well, I mean, the question would be, like, if it's not De Bruyne, then who is it? Like, that would be my question if someone came to me and said, oh, De Bruyne is definitely not the best midfielder in the world. Like, well, name a better one. Like, I can't think of anyone who's even close to his level at the minute.
Who do you think's the best midfielder in the world, Matt? Are you with me and Simon on this, or do you have a different shout?
Mark Noble.
I don't think even Mark Noble would pick Mark Noble or his...
No, I tried to be contrarian there, like to think in my head, is there anyone... Because I agree with you. Kevin De Bruyne is the best midfielder in the world.
Here's the thing, right? You almost can't play devil's advocate with this one because, you can't be convincing at all.
You could argue maybe someone like Modric, but he's...
Not for the last couple of years,
Not for the past couple of years. Yeah, I'm kind of clutching at straws here.
2 years ago, 2018, you could have argued Modric. Not now. Not now.
Not now, I agree.
I mean, he broke the assist record last season. And for a City team that isn't performing great at the minute,
they're not.
Still good, but he's still the best player by a mile in all of the teams. So.
Across 35 games in the Premier League last season, he had over 33 goal involvements, which means he either scored or assisted.
And he's got 8 this season for a City side struggling in 11 games. So I think that proves his worth. His vision is just insane.
He sees shit that I can't see on TV.
Yeah. I think that for me is what makes him so great. As you said, obviously when you watch it on telly, you do have effectively a view of the best part of or at least the majority of the pitch anyway. And as you said, he not only is able to see passes that you would never even think of whilst watching it on TV, but he's then able to execute them as well. And it's just incredible.
The other thing I love is his movement. And I don't think that is ever actually appreciated as much as it probably should be. The way he kind of just drifts, he's always moving. He never stands still in a game. And he always finds a little pockets of space out wide through the middle. And you never know where he's going to pop up. He gets the ball in all kinds of areas. And that, for me, shows his football intelligence. I would love to just watch his movement of a game. And I think kind of see his like pitch map. Because he touches the ball everywhere. Like, he will take the ball in any position.
I think you raise a really good point there. Because it's not something that I would automatically jump to, but when you've just explained it now, it's kind of opened my eyes, actually, because you are right. And one of the things, especially when teams aren't playing well, that you notice, and obviously City, haven't been playing well, at least by their standards, over the last 2-3 years or so. But when teams aren't playing well, usually you notice a trend of actually players being quite static. They don't tend to move around and want the ball. Whereas, as you said, Kevin De Bruyne is always moving. Static is a word that I really would not associate with Kevin De Bruyne at all, and I think that's to his credit. I mean, personally for me, I feel like, and again, I know it's very early on, and this season is crazy, and anything can happen, of course, but I don't think City are going to win the league this year.
I agree.
But if they did...
Not when they're lower
If they did win the league... But if they did win the league this year, let's say they, maybe brought someone in January, or even then just had a better run of form after Christmas. If they did win the league, you would have to think that Kevin De Bruyne would be the driving force behind that, regardless of any other signing that they may make in January. So he's undeniably not only their most important player right now, but... as I said, for me, the best midfielder in the world. Moving on to your number 4, Matt. Who's making your Champions League spot?
So my Champions League spot is someone I really don't think any of you have got. And it's because it's ranked on how good of a 2020 he's had. And again, it's a player I've never heard of before 2020. And it is Mason Greenwood. Coming from nowhere?
I am shook. I am not going to lie.
Sorry, but you've got Greenwood at 4, Lewandowski number 8.
I'm sorry, mate.
It's the level of expectation. Lewandowski, I expect to have him.
Nah, but come on, man.
Mason Greenwood, I've never heard of him. So the year he's had, I hate it too. I hate Manchester United.
Mate, every Football Manager fan is screaming at you right now because every Football Manager fan has heard of Greenwood because he's been great for like ages.
I'd never heard of him before.
Yeah, he's a youngster, but number 4.
Number 4.
If you'd had Greenwood at 8, I could maybe have gone with it. But 4, Lewandowski's 8, and Greenwood is 4.
I've got.
What is his record?
Against.
What's his record of the year? And who is he scoring against? Because a lot of those goals were in the Europa League as well. 4. I can't. I'm sorry.
I'm with you. I'm sorry. Don't get me wrong.
How many goals do you think? Because he only started in January. He only started playing for them in 2020.
Are we talking league games or?
He has been very impressive, I think. But a better year than Lewandowski. And I'm thinking the other players you've had on your list, Neymar, I can't. Wow.
I think it's just how you rank the year. Lewandowski, Neymar, I expect a lot from them because of the player that they are, because of the name that they have. It's just as simple as that. I expect Lewandowski to score that many goals. I've got no disregard. Probably Lewandowski, you're right. Does deserve, in retrospect, he does deserve to
respect the name.
Oh, absolute respect. I don't want this to be a diss or thing. It's just I never heard Mason Greenwood before, and he's just turned up on the scene and decided to score a bunch of goals.
I mean, he's a good player.
For the order
at the minute, right? So if you were going to pick right now, if we were picking the Euro 2020 squad tomorrow, let's say the tournament got moved to winter instead of knocking it back a year. If you were picking a Euro 2020 squad to start tomorrow, would Mason Greenwood even make the 23 right now?
Today?
Yeah, if you were picking the squad right now, would Mason Greenwood even make the 23? Not the starting 11, the 23, the whole squad. Would Mason Greenwood be in your squad?
I would say it probably make my 23.
I can answer for me is that he would not. Kane is 1, Calvert-Lewin is 2, and Danny Ings probably 3, and that's your 3 centre forwards you go with.
Yeah,
and he would probably be first reserve if you look at it. I mean, there's not too many others once you dig that well.
Yeah,
but those 3 are probably ahead of him.
That same
Rashford can play up front,
but I think you take Rashford as one of the 3.
Yeah, you're probably right. Actually, if you think about Danny Ings, is probably still. I never know whether he's injured or not. But yeah, I mean, probably right.
So just to clarify, then, so your number 4 on this list wouldn't even make the 23-man England squad if we were picking it today. No, if the tournament was to start tomorrow. That's crazy, man. I can't believe
Would Robert Lewandowski start for England?
Yes.
If he was English, then
he was English, not Polish.
Yeah.
Well, Polish, English, basically the same, and then
ship him over here, give him a visa.
We're out the EU. We can't get him anymore.
I reckon he gets a right to remain.
Oh no, dude! I can't. Honestly, man, this list has just shook me.
I think George is actually angry. He's not here with us, but I can hear the anger in his voice.
Is it the order, or is it just the mention of him?
I think if it was 9 or 10, I could probably let it go.
I agree. 9 or 10, I could go. All right, not my pick, but I could at least see where you're coming from. But number 4, Champions League spot again, ahead of Lewandowski, Neymar, Alphonso Davies. I can't. Honestly, mate,
it's just the order.
I feel like I need to lie down.
Anyway, moving on.
You're number 4 then, Simon. You're number 4.
My number 4 is a little less controversial.
I'm good. I need a dose of normality.
I mean, there's not usually a year goes by without someone mentioning his name as being one of the best in the world. And by his own standard, it's probably been a pretty poor year, but he's still up there as one of the best in the business, Lionel Messi.
Nice. Great shout. So, okay, I mean, I said back to normality. You know what? And this is, again, probably very harsh. I've not got Messi on my list at all.
Would he start for England, though, George? Would he start for England?
Yes, he would, to be fair.
I'm going to say yes. Yeah, he would, yeah.
But no, as I said, I've not even put Messi on my list.
He's not on my list either, I'll be honest.
No, and I've toyed with... I kind of thought about not having him. And you kind of... Because you look at it, you think, Messi, Ronaldo, it's boring. Every year they're up there.
Yeah.
But his numbers are still ridiculous. And he's had such a difficult year with off-field stuff, with the stuff with the board, with players leaving, and yet he still churns out performance after performance for a Barcelona side which is poor. Let's be honest, it's a poor Barcelona side.
Oh yeah, it's easily the worst side in his time there, 100%.
And without Messi, they're absolutely nowhere near anything.
No.
Like, they're nowhere near titles, they're nowhere near Champions League titles. And he still puts in performance after performance. I know, and then it looked like he was going to leave in the summer. He didn't in the end, but he's just. I mean, you've run out of words, haven't you, at this point? I mean, what can anyone say on Messi that they haven't already said? And that's probably why we maybe shouldn't have mentioned him, because everyone knows him. Everyone knows what Messi's about.
No, but I mean, to be fair, I feel like Messi's at that point in his career where, I mean, I would have disagreed with it, but if you'd have just said Messi is my number one because Messi is Messi, I would have just gone, fair enough. Like, as I said, that wouldn't. As I said, he didn't make my list.
So, but he's in your list because of the adversities that he had to face, but still triumphed or still put out ridiculous results.
There's certainly part of that. I mean,
he's the best player in the world.
His performance against himself in 2020 has not been at his level. But that is down to off-field problems. This Barcelona team is nowhere near as good as other ones.
So in the face of that adversity,
and he's still fantastic.
It's quite funny actually, because for the reasons that you did put him in your list, I've not put him in mine. I know, obviously, as you said, I know on the pitch he's still been fantastic. Again, you look at the numbers that he's got this year, they're still very, very good, even if they're not quite the highs that you would normally expect for him. But again, and you look at his overall play, he's still producing moments of genius. And I don't blame, as you said, everything going on with the board, I don't blame him for wanting to leave, or at least I don't blame him for the way everything went down after that Bayern Munich defeat, because it was bad. And let's be real, the club at the minute, it's not operating at the standard that it should be. Messi knows that.
I think there's a lot of this with the election and the board leaving.
It shows the influence Messi has over that club. He basically got a whole board of directors to resign.
Yeah,
that is ridiculous.
They were already in the I think they were already in the process of losing the position anyway, because the election was coming up. But yeah, you're right. You got them to do it fucking early.
That whole club right now, I think it's really rotten to the core. I know they've obviously just changed personnel upstairs, but for me, they've still got so much work to do, and I don't blame Messi for not wanting to be there. And as you said, he can't be expected to do everything himself, and he has still performed well despite these issues. But I just they have been at the minute they're not even remotely close to the top of La Liga, and obviously they were absolutely hammered at the end of the Champions League last season. And as again, I appreciate that one player can only do so much,
and Messi does about as much as he can do.
Yeah, it's just I think, in terms of his career, I think this has been one of the worst years of his career.
I agree,
easily.
And that's part of that's why I kind of appreciate this year maybe more than other Messi years, in terms of what Matt talked about earlier of the expectation. The expectation of Messi is insane.
It's through the roof.
Yeah, and this year the expectation is slightly less because of the team.
Yeah, it's a bit weird though, because again, I think it's been going this kind of way for a while, in the sense that if you look at the way that they've exited the Champions League for the last 3 years in a row, each year it's been embarrassing the way they've gone out. Obviously,
that is true.
And again, as I said, like, Messi can only do so much.
But I mean, you look at the Liverpool exit not this season before.
2019, yeah.
Yeah, and he scored 2 goals in the home game, and he was ridiculously good. I mean, Barcelona should have won that game 3-0. It's mainly because of Messi they did. He scores a worldie of a goal and another one. As I say, it's not been his best year. That's why it's not number one. Messi on his best year is one on this list every time.
Yeah.
That's why he's 4. His worst year is still better than almost every other player's good year. And that is ridiculous.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, because in terms of the performances, I do agree with you in terms of what he's produced on the field. I still think it's been spectacular. But as far as the problems at Barcelona go, do you think that he's maybe played his own part in that? Because, as I said, I do obviously get that the club is nowhere near where it should be, and I get why he would want to leave. But would you say that the way he approached that was possibly quite poor? Because there was obviously that big dispute over, is he going to go? Is he going to stay? And in obviously, previous years, it was just a ploy to get a new contract. But obviously, he's not signed a new contract this time round. He's just been made to honour that remaining year on his deal.
Messi and his agents and his whole team are not stupid. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
1,000% they knew what they were doing. I think they got the whole fucking world talking about it, and we all fucking licked our lips, and we're like, oh my god, can he go anywhere else? Can he do it in Stoke on a cold Wednesday night?
Yes, obviously.
Of course he could.
The thing with that whole situation, he didn't play it great, but
I think it's by purpose, though, is my point.
I would argue that he's earned the right to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because of what he's given to Barcelona.
I agree, but I still think it's a shitty thing to do at the same time, though.
I also don't think he did it for himself. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
I think he was angry at the decision to sell Luis Suarez, and he made that very clear at the time, and he thought he was treated very poorly, and that's one of his best mates in the club. And I can kind of appreciate being a bit of a dick if you're doing it for a friend. Which I think is what he's doing, because Messi doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's got this big ego, who thinks, I'm moving for me, I'm going to get out, I don't like these guys, I don't like that guy, I'm going to cause a massive fucking problem. It doesn't strike me as that kind of character. I could be wrong, but he doesn't strike me as that kind of character.
I think in his team, they had the conversation, and Messi went, what the fuck are the board doing? I'm sure the Luis Suarez incident was one of many instances that Messi saw. And I think Messi saw the influence that not only has on Barcelona, on the Barcelona fan base, on the Barcelona electorate, but he also saw the influence that he had in global football. And if I kick off a fuss, if I even so much as say I fancy leaving, everyone in the world would be talking about Barcelona and the problem that is the board and the lack of direction and the poor management of the club, and it will get them ultimately sacked. And what did it do? Get them ultimately sacked. So I agree with you, Simon. I think it was much more strategic than just I want to leave. You can read a fucking contract. He can pay good enough lawyers to do that. He's not stupid.
Yeah, I think as the way the whole thing went down, because I really don't necessarily blame him for feeling the way that he did. And especially when, as I said, it's easily the worst Barcelona have been as a club in his time there. It's just, as I said, I feel like it more added fuel. I feel like it almost added fuel to the fire rather than took away.
But I mean, we're straying off this topic though. This topic was about best.
Yeah. No, you're right.
2020.
But to be fair, I feel like it factors in. I feel like it factors in though. I do feel like it factors in.
But I do think his numbers are still ridiculous. He's still a great footballer. Yeah. His stuff on the field has been great.
Yeah.
Yes, he could have maybe dealt with some stuff differently, but that's not what we were talking about. So.
I still think he's the best player in the world. I just don't think he had the best 2020, or at least not.
And that's why he's number 4. That's my point.
Yeah, but even then, out the other 10 players that on my list, I still don't think he had as good a 20. Despite the numbers, as
that's
good
fair.
a 2020.
That's why we have this decision. That's
it's not as good as Mason Greenwood.
God.
This fucking guy, man. This fucking guy.
No, honestly, I don't think I'm going to be able to let that one go, Matt. I'm going to throw that out there.
Mate, this is up there with Spurs winning the league.
Oh, it's not.
No, I think it is.
He had a good 2020. There's nothing more to it.
No, but better than Robert Lewandowski's 2020. Nah, mate.
Twice as good as Robert Lewandowski. Anyway. George, you're number 4. Let's move on.
Number 4. Right. Virgil van Dijk. That's my number 4.
Broken leg in 2020.
And to be fair, the reason why he's not higher on this list is because of the injury.
Yeah.
That's why he's not higher. But again, I know we've obviously talked about Liverpool quite a bit in this podcast episode already. He is instrumental to that team. He is a huge miss. And while I do think that they still probably should win the Premier League without him, if they don't, his absence is going to be probably the key reason behind that. He's that good. You look at the way he's transformed the team since he's arrived. Obviously, they've had 2 Champions League finals, winning one of them, winning their first league title for the first time in 30 years. Him, and again, along with some other key signings, it is, you don't win titles off of one player. He's been unbelievable for them, and he's arguably the best, at least before the injury, the best centre-back in the world right now. I think certainly on form, the best centre-back in the world for me, up till the injury.
I don't think it's that close. I think it's very clearly the best centre-back in the world. I don't think it's that close.
No, I don't think it is.
Sergio Ramos for years would be up there, but Real Madrid don't look the force they
once were. Yeah, he's winding down in his career now.
He's 33, 34.
Yeah, he's still a great player, but he's not as good as he was. He's not as good as he would, say, 6-7 years ago, for example.
But, I mean, I think you talk about the influence of losing a top draw defender. You saw what happened with City once they lost Laporte last season.
Yeah.
Like,
They fell apart.
They fell apart, and that's how important having a top draw centre back is. And Van Dijk is definitely at that level. Like,
completely. As I said,
and he's probably a better level than that, even. So
I completely agree. And as I said, if they win the league without him, somehow that will be a great achievement. As I said, I do think they can win the league without him. But if they don't win it this year, I think that will be the main reason behind that. He's just so important. He's an absolute monster. As you said, I don't really think there's any other centre-back in world football that gets close to Van Dijk right now. Well, at least, again, prior to the injury.
Who's the second best?
Laporte?
Laporte's up there for me.
I think in the Premier League, certainly Laporte.
I'm trying to think who else. So who Bayern got in defence? That's Sula, Boateng. No. Ramos.
A little part of me still kind of saying Ramos, maybe Varane.
Varane's very good.
Yeah.
Varane is very good. Anyone at Juventus?
Yeah, De Ligt.
Yeah. But De Ligt's not had a great year, has he?
No, he's not really, to be fair. No, he's not. I mean, obviously, again, they won the title, but they were always going to stroll to that title, weren't they? Yeah, but as I said, I think, they're all great players, the players we've just listed, but right now, or at least, again, up until the injury, I don't think any of them were close to Van Dijk. So, yeah, if not for the injury, if he was playing out of his skin right now, I'd have probably had him higher on my list. But, of course, yeah, he's not been able to do that. So, yeah, my Champions League spot, Virgil van Dijk. Moving into the automatic Champions League place is number 3. Matt, who are you going for? It can't be as controversial as your last one, I'd swear.
No, we've already spoken about him. Harry Kane.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great shout. Fair enough.
He's ridiculously.
Fair enough, mate.
That's all we need to say, isn't it?
Yeah. We've covered Kane. Your automatic Champions League spot then, Simon?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, Kevin De Bruyne, number 3.
Okay.
For me. I've got nothing more to add on him.
No, fair enough. All right, then, so strolling into my number 3, I have gone with a number 7, Mr. Cristiano Ronaldo. That's who I've gone as my number 3. So I'm just going to rattle off some of the things that he's done this year. So obviously, the minute he's been involved with 98, so just this past weekend, he was involved with his 98th goal for Juventus, and that's goal or assist. He scored 79 goals and 19 assists for Juventus already. And again, when you think about the age and how long he's been there, incredible. And of course, earlier in the year, at the last international break, I believe, he became the first European to score 100 international goals, and he's currently only 7, and you've got to think that he's going to break that record. He's only 7 off of the all-time international goal-scoring record. The guy is aging like wine. When is he going to stop? Cristiano Ronaldo, number 3 for me. Again, probably a bit low by Ronaldo standards. You talk about Messi being in number 4, Ronaldo in number 3. It's kind of a similar thing. I will take the point that obviously even without Ronaldo, Juventus would still comfortably win the title. But, if they win the Champions League this year, Ronaldo is going to just... What that adds to his already unbelievable CV is incredible. And for me, the guy is almost aging like fine wine. I honestly have no idea when he's going to stop or any idea when he's going to slow down.
Well, it's the reason Juventus signed him, wasn't it? They wanted him to be the Champions League game breaker of, let's get Juventus, the old lady, to win a title. It's been a long time since they've won it. They should really have won more.
They should have, yeah. They've had a couple close shaves over the last 5 years.
And Ronaldo was supposed to be the guy to do that would you say that his move to Juventus, if he doesn't win the Champions League, from the club side, is ultimately a failure? Because, as you say, they would always win the league title.
Yeah.
They'll always win the Italian Cup.
I think you can definitely argue that. And I would also say that I imagine that Ronaldo probably wouldn't be... I think if Ronaldo leaves Juventus without a Champions League title, I think that he would actually be quite disappointed in his stay there. Despite, obviously, the goals and the league titles that he's added to his illustrious career. I think that, yeah, he's there to win that Champions League. And I think, as you said, that's why Juventus bought him. And as good of a goal record as he might have by the time he's done, as many other trophies as he might have won, I do think that if he doesn't win the Champions League with them, there will at least be an element of disappointment there. It might not necessarily outshine everything else, but I do think that the Champions League is why he's there. Not just for him, but also for the club. And if he doesn't win it, he's done some great things there already, and he will probably do some more great things while he's still there. But yeah, I feel like that will cast a bit of a shadow on his time there if he doesn't win it.
We are talking about a Juve that got knocked out by Lyon.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that. Like, he's a great player, and I've got absolutely no qualms about him being a great player. But from a 2020 perspective, being Juventus, I would argue personally that apart from, it was kind of up for the grabs from a couple big clubs this year, because the big boys, Real Madrid and Barcelona, City, were all completely out of the conversation. Obviously Bayern Munich, but I would argue if Juve were going to win it in any year, last year might have been one of the opportunities that they'd have got it. So you're talking about they got knocked out by Lyon on away goals.
Yeah, they did. But to be fair, I would agree with you up to the point of where this Bayern Munich team looks like an almost once-in-a-generation team. I do take your point. Obviously, it was a bad year for Real Madrid, Barcelona, and also as well, that City team got knocked out by the same Lyon team. Let's be real. That quarter-final should have been City versus Juventus. Let's be honest.
That would have been a great game, to be fair.
Yeah, it would have been.
Can I just make a justification for one of the people on my list? Is Ciro Immobile outscored Cristiano Ronaldo last season to win the top scorer in Serie A?
That's fair enough, mate. I can't argue with that. I'll give you that one.
So, no, look, Cristiano Ronaldo's a great player. Again, it's kind of that, as I said with Messi, like, you just kind of run out of words. He's so good that you almost don't need to say he's good anymore, because everyone knows he is.
Should we put bets on right now? How old is he going to be when he retires?
No.
I feel like he could retire quickly if he feels like he can't, like, he just feels he's done.
How old is he now? 34?
35, I think.
35 now, is he?
He might have just turned 35.
Yes.
So, what numbers are we taking? George? Simon?
37.
37 for Simon. George?
I think he can go longer. I really do.
I think he can go longer, but I don't think he can.
That, for me, I think it's it depends. I think it really depends on whether he thinks that he can perform to the level that he's happy with, and I think that's when he'll bow out. But part of the reason why Ronaldo's so high on my list, because as you said, by Ronaldo standards, it's not been his best year. But the reason why I put him it's the age. His current age. I know he's ridiculously fit, and a lot of players are ridiculously fit, but he shouldn't be doing the things that he's doing at 35. We when we first did our episode on the greatest Premier League players of all time, me and Matt put Wayne Rooney in our list, and I think we were justified in doing that because Wayne Rooney is a Premier League legend. But Rooney's like younger than Ronaldo, and you look at and Rooney's a legendary player. Let's not
he's
get it wrong.
Derby. Come on.
But yeah, you look at where Rooney's been not only this year but the last couple of years, and again you still look at what Ronaldo's doing and the level it's unbelievable. I've struggled not only he's in the conversation for the greatest of all time, but I can't imagine any player kind of maybe other than Messi being at the level that Ronaldo is currently at 35. I can't see it.
I mean Messi's like 33 now, isn't he?
Yeah, that's why I said other than Messi, but any other player, when they're 35, I can't see them hitting the levels that Ronaldo's hitting. I can't. Not at 35. I can't see them doing that. That for me is why I've put Ronaldo as high as I have, because for his age, the levels he's hitting, it's uncharted territory, and I do expect him to break that that all-time international goal-scoring record. If not next year, the year after that.
Held by that Iranian bloke.
Yeah.
No one's ever heard of.
Yeah.
I think that's, good shout.
Great, moving on. Your runner-up then, Matt. Your runner-up.
My runner-up shouldn't be confusing. It's Thomas Muller. Simply just because I love someone that can create a lot of opportunities. And Jesus Christ, did he do it last season? I was just looking at the stats, and it's pretty ridiculous. Last season, he generated, out of 50 appearances, 26 assists and 14 goals. So
That's madness.
Like he just went super. I obviously a lot of that is in Bundesliga. He won the Champions League. We've talked a lot about Bayern Munich. I don't really want to talk about him again. He's just such an amazing player, and I think he definitely deserves a mention because I don't hear him talked about enough.
No, I think he's a very underrated player.
I was gonna ask that. Do you think he is underrated? Because as I said, I didn't want to put too many players from one team on the list, and I was really choosing because I was like, I've got to have Lewandowski. That had to be, and then outside of that, I was thinking Muller, Alphonso Davies. As I said, I didn't want to put too many players from the same team on the list. So yeah, as I said, I feel like I maybe did Thomas Muller dirty by not putting, because the guy's been around for years now, but he's still going strong. This is probably his best year, I would say, since 2014, and yeah, just he's absolutely incredible year. Absolutely incredible year. Thomas Muller's an outrageous player.
Nutcase.
Yeah, I would definitely say he's an underrated player as well because he gets on with the game with very minimal fuss. He just he does his business.
The ultimate professional for me.
I mean, it's almost a bit of but he's very typically German. He just kind of gets the job. Yeah, gets the job done. Like, scores a goal, gets an assist. Job done. Thanks. Have a beer. Go. Fantastic.
That basically is him. He's also, as well, I know this shouldn't really count, but he's a great character. Every time he opens his mouth, I sit there and I listen. I can't, honestly, he comes up with great stuff.
Because I mentioned him before when I talked about Alphonso Davies, he talked about him being the roadrunner. That's a good quote. And he talked about, did you see, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, he talked about cold, windy nights in Stoke.
No.
They just want to watch Stuttgart, and that's what he likened it to. Yeah. In Germany, that's what it was.
That's great.
So yeah, as you say,
did you hear his joke in the Champions League last year? He was like, "You should call him Robert Lewandowski." Yeah, and there was just silence in the media room.
They can't all be winners. They can't all be winners.
It's so fucking good.
But no, he's a fantastic player. And I mean, is he World Cup top goal scorer? Did he break?
No, that's Miroslav Klose.
He won the Golden Boot, didn't he?
He won it in 2010, and then James Rodriguez narrowly beat him to it in 2014, narrowly. And I remember him being interviewed about it, actually, and the guy said, this was just after the tournament, I think during the middle of their celebrations, and the guy said, congratulations, Thomas, you've won the World Cup. Are you a little bit disappointed that you didn't win the Golden Boot as well, though? And he just went, mate, I've won the World Cup. You can fuck off with the Golden Boot. I'm going to go drink. I thought that was brilliant. So, yeah, great character. Even better player. You know what, Matt? I'm happy you mentioned Thomas Muller because I can say that's a worthy choice.
We can all sleep easier tonight.
There we go.
I'm gonna have nightmares of Mason Greenwood, and I hope Thomas Muller just hovers in the background. Right. So your runner up then, Simon.
Yeah. So I mentioned before it's Erling Braut Haaland.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. So my number two. Robert Lewandowski. Robert Lewandowski. 55 goals in 47 games last season. He's already got 16 goals in all competitions already. And as of yesterday, we're recording this on the 17th of December, he notched his 250th Bundesliga goal. So, for context, Shearer scored 260 in the Premier League. Lewandowski is, in the Bundesliga, only 10 goals away from that.
Well, did you say that's all goals across his whole Bundesliga career? Or just
that's including Dortmund as well. Yeah.
The question I was reading an article because it's 25 years since the Bosman transfer came in. This week it was the anniversary. So Bosman transfers is like what allows free agents to move clubs. Is Robert Lewandowski the best Bosman transfer of all time? because I can't think of a better one.
He made it on a free.
Yeah, Dortmund. He left Dortmund on a free.
Well, you know what's really funny about Lewandowski is that if not for a volcano eruption in 2010, he would have signed for Blackburn. Can you imagine if he had gone there?
I mean, that's when he was still in Poland, wasn't he? He was at, like Lech Poznan or somewhere.
Yeah.
Was it when Stuart Keane was manager at Blackburn? Like, it was
Steve Keane, I think it was. I don't know if Steve Keane was the manager at that point, because they certainly got relegated under Steve Keane in...
It was around the same era.
Yeah, 2011 or... No, it was 2012, I think they got relegated under him, but yeah.
But I think he joined it, I can't remember. It was around that time, but Blackburn was shit. Like, let's be honest.
They were shit. Do you reckon, though, that his goals would have kept them up if he'd have gone there, though?
Well, I mean, it'd be hard to say, because obviously he was a young player still at that point, and he hadn't developed into the world-class in the 40 years.
He's almost got a lot better with age.
Yeah, I mean, he must be over... 32, 33?
I think he's about 33 now. Again,
no signs of slowing down. He looks like he's getting better and better.
And for me, if the Ballon d'Or was going ahead, he's the guy that should have won it. That's yeah. So I know it's probably a bit weird.
And you didn't give him this as compensation.
No,
George, frankly, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I didn't.
If we put it at aggregate, my number 8 pulls him down. Got the 3 of us.
Yeah, but no, to be fair, you put Mason Greenwood at number 4.
I can say, if we average it out, Mason Greenwood's fucking in the top 10 somewhere, so...
But yeah, no, and to be fair, I do think I can justify what... I will say this now before I go into my number 1, but my number 1 isn't there for, like, football in terms, which I know it might be a bit of a weird one, but I'll explain that when I get to it. But yeah, if we were going on football, what... footballing achievements and footballing accolades of this year alone, for me, Lewandowski number 1, no question, and should win the Ballon d'Or if the Ballon d'Or was going ahead. Just as you said, almost aging like fine wine, really. I've got no idea when he's going to start slowing down. And, being a striker, it's almost a bit funny because he's never really relied on pace either. So you kind of think that he's going to be scoring goals for still a good couple of years to come yet.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 2. Who takes your crown then? Who's winning our substitute for the Ballon d'Or then, Matt? Who's your number 1 spot?
Mine is Mr. 2020. I think we should just call that's the name of this award, Mr. 2020.
It doesn't work in 2021 though, does it?
It's a shit. It's Erling Haaland. We've already spoken about him.
Yeah.
Do you want to justify why he's...
Number 1, that is... he's been fantastic.
I've never seen someone rise so quickly and move club. Because often you see it that someone will do really well at one club, they'll move, and then kind of fall off the pace a little bit, not really work. Maybe they're in the squad, but they're kind of bouncing around the squad. He's moved into a big boy team and showed them how it's done. And yeah, he's been an outstanding player. I think his 2020 has been very, very good. I don't think there's any debate on Lewandowski's 2020 has been very good, but
not as good as Mason Greenwood's though, obviously.
No, Mason Greenwood's is a bit better.
God, I still can't get over that. I honestly think I'm going to have nightmares tonight.
I honestly think Man United fans are listening going, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, even if I was the most delusional Man United fan, I think I'd still be like, what the fuck is this guy?
I'll have what he's smoking, thank you.
Go on, Simon, your number 1, please, mate.
So my number 1, I mean, I think you've all done him massive disrespect, to be honest, because his 2020 has been insane. It is Robert Lewandowski.
Yeah.
How the fuck he hasn't won this with a clean sweep, I actually don't know. How the fuck he's number 8 for you, I really don't know. Look,
I will explain in my number 1 why.
But he's just the most pivotal player in the team that won everything. That for me is my number 1. That's the simple argument.
I agree.
That tends to be how the Ballon d'Or is picked, and I know you shouldn't really do it like that, but he's been the best player in the best team, therefore he's the best player of 2020.
They've won everything as well. It's not even like they missed out on the Champions League, even though they won everything. And from a footballing perspective, Simon, I can't disagree with you. I 100% agree. He should be the Ballon d'Or winner. He should be number 1 on this list. But my number 1 is very left field, but no, Lewandowski's just been outrageous, to be honest.
It's not Declan Rice, is it?
No, it's not. So
God.
My number 1, as I said, I'm just going to throw out a bit of a disclaimer because it's not So it's not in terms of, we're talking best 2020, and it's not because of what he's done on a football pitch. Though, to be fair, he has been decent, but yeah, no, he shouldn't really, he wouldn't be anywhere near the top 10. I have gone with Marcus Rashford as my number one, purely because I think of what he has achieved this year, ironically off the football pitch, and I don't want to make it too political, of course, we're not about...
Can I just say, this list was best players of 2020.
You're having a go about making fucking Mason Greenwood.
No, I get it, George.
To be fair, best, as I said, if we're talking best 2020, I think Marcus Rashford, what he has achieved.
As a footballing person, as a person involved in football, who's taken his platform to support such an amazing cause, I'm all behind you. So, George, go on, take it away.
I agree, but I don't think... That's not what this list was supposed to be.
Either way, but George, go on.
Again, I feel like with Mason Greenwood being in at number 4, I feel like I can easily justify this. As I said, it's not. I throw out the disclaimer. It's blatantly not because of his footballing ability, as good of a footballer as Marcus Rashford is. It's because that he's effectively overturned a government decision using his platform, and he's been feeding starving children, and he's used his platform in a way that I can't, at least not in the UK anyway, I can't think that any footballer in this country has ever used it before. And I think it's almost revolutionary. Not that footballers should be doing, like the job of the government or MPs or whatever. I think hopefully it set the path for other footballers to use their position to help people.
You're right. He's probably the first UK person who's done it for...
Yeah.
There have been other footballers.
Like Drogba, Drogba's been, incredible.
Kaka's the other one. I mean, he's got strongly religious beliefs that he's used. I know he gave a lot of his money to charity as well. So... Look, I agree. He's done fantastic work, and he deserves a lot of credit for it. And footballers should be doing more. I really hate people who say that sports people shouldn't be using their platform, because you get a lot of these people who say stick to football.
Yeah, I hate that.
He's got the biggest platform of almost anyone in this country. Use it to do some fucking good. Don't just sit there and kick a fucking ball for $200,000 a week. Go and do something meaningful. And if that's his legacy, then fair play, he will probably be remembered more for this, because it is incredible.
Yeah, what he's done to elevate the conversation in the UK about childhood poverty and child hunger in the UK, it is a massive issue, and I'm actually, despite our initial reaction, I'm actually really glad you brought him up, because I think you're right. Maybe we need to not focus so much on the football, but more focus on he's just a person involved in football.
Let's be real as well. I think especially this year has been terrible everywhere, and even if we're all lucky enough not to have known anyone personally that's lost their life to COVID-19, but even then, the people been losing their jobs, and people, loads of people been worried about how they're going to put food on the table, and in that sense we are very, very lucky. And to have a footballer almost be one of the few shining lights of the year for reasons that aren't football related, as I said, as a UK player, it's something that's I've never seen before, and for that he deserves full credit for me. If we were talking purely footballing basis, then obviously I'd bump Lewandowski everyone up by 1, and I'd put Thomas Muller in at number 10. Right, that's what I'd do. I just think what Marcus Rashford has done this year is bigger than football, so that's why he's made my number 1. That's the final whistle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Midtable Up Podcast. If you enjoy our top 10 lists, please make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. Let us know what you would have done differently. If you watch this episode on YouTube, make sure to put your foot through that subscribe button and leave a like on the video, as well as follow us on Spotify and the Podcasts app to keep up to date with the series. Thank you very much. See you next time.